Ship, TSV Morningstar. Registry, Civilian Class Medical and Exploration Vessel. Galactic Location, Outer Rim, Sector 38N, Neutral Space. The Morningstar wasn't a warship. It wasn't even well armed. Its plating was outdated, its engines moaned like old bones under strain, and its bridge crew had been retired officers, diplomats, and scientists who'd seen too many suns rise. And then there was Elias Rourke, listed on the ship's manifest as ship's cook. Not chef. Not nutrition officer. Just cook. He wasn't part of any military. He didn't wear a uniform. Most days, he wore a grease-stained apron, muttered at the ration printer, and cursed in 17 Earth dialects about idiots who think scrambled eggs come from a packet. To most aboard, he was background noise. A necessary presence. Friendly enough. Unremarkable. Until the pirates came. Distress signal, ignored. The crew of the Morningstar had known they were cutting it close. The asteroid belt in 38N was a known pirate corridor, long abandoned by the Dominion Navy after peace treaties were signed and resources dried up. But the Council had insisted they collect samples from Aegis 12, a moon known for its unstable crystalline growths, useful in bioneural network calibration. So they went. And when the alarms screamed, hard vacuum breach, port side hull, everyone knew what it meant. Pirates, whispered First Officer Talon. They're cutting through the outer corridor. Starboard side might still hold. No time to jump? Captain Drea asked. The navigator didn't answer. He was already gone, sprinting to the escape pods. Cowards scattered. Scientists barricaded labs. The guards, the handful still on duty, stood ready, rifles trembling. And the cook? He was in the galley. Still chopping onions. Boarding action begins. The pirates came fast and brutal. They weren't sloppy amateurs. These were the Grenthai Shardborn, known for their zero-G shock insertions and psychological warfare. They wore reflective bone armor, moved in pairs, and didn't speak aloud, only through subvocal clicks. The first to enter the cargo bay shot 2 crewmen before they even raised their hands. By the time they reached the central corridor, blood had already pooled under flickering lights. And as their squad leader, Vornzel, approached the galley, his comms tech pinged in confusion. There's heat in the kitchen? Civilian. The cook. Vornzel sneered. Leave no witnesses. They kicked the door in. And found Elias Rourke still cooking. An apron, a knife, and a locked door. Elias didn't scream. He didn't beg. He simply looked at them with tired eyes, turned off the burner, and said, You tracking blood through my galley? The pirates blinked. Vornzel leveled his plasma repeater. On your knees. Elias wiped his hands, slowly removed his apron, and laid it across the prep station. Then he picked up a chef's knife. The old kind. Steel. No lasers. No tech. Leave the ship, he said, voice calm. Or I will end this here. Vornzel laughed. The first pirate moved forward. Elias moved faster. The first cut. The knife flashed, not like a weapon, but like a memory honed to muscle. The pirate's armor split open not from brute force, but precision. A seam opened along the side of his neck guard. Blood sprayed in microbursts. The pirate dropped, twitching. The others fired. But Elias was already moving. He didn't run. He didn't duck. He stepped, with intention, every movement deliberate. He grabbed a frying pan, deflected one blast. Used the handle to shatter a faceplate. Kicked another in the knee, sideways. Bone cracked like celery. The third tried to back out. Elias pinned him with a meat skewer through the thigh. 3 down. And he hadn't stopped breathing evenly. The secret no one knew. The rest of the pirates converged. Elias didn't wait. He moved like a man who'd once fought wars that didn't make the history books. His knife found joints. His hands found arteries. His silence made every motion louder. And in 10 minutes, the galley was quiet again. 10 pirates entered. None left. Elias washed his knife, put the kettle on, and activated the ship-wide intercom. "If anyone's still alive up there, this is your cook speaking. The galley's secure. Cleanup's in process. Don't come down here unless you're ready to mop." Captain Dreas' discovery. When the security team finally reached the kitchen, they froze at the scene. Bodies. Every one of them intact but neutralized, a level of restraint even trained security operatives couldn't manage. And Elias? He was sipping tea and flipping through a tattered paper book titled The Art of War. The captain looked at him, horrified. "What are you?" Elias glanced up, shrugged. "I'm the cook." Who was Elias Rourke? They dug into his file after the attack. Earthborn. Served under 13 different aliases. No clear records post-age of dissolution. But buried in encrypted layers, they found a line of text. Project Kitchen Knife. Field deployment, civilian cloak cell, status, active until provoked. He'd been placed. Planted. Not as a weapon. As a message. A deterrent. The word spreads. It didn't take long for the story to reach the stars. Not through official channels. Through whispers. Pirate networks. Rumor forums. The Morning Star? Don't touch that one. They've got the cook. What kind of cook? The kind who only uses one knife. Raids decreased. Pirate crews hesitated. Ships crossing neutral space started broadcasting logs like, "We're not the Morning Star, don't shoot!" And Elias? He went back to cooking. He still grumbled about ration packs. Still made real coffee when no one asked. But now, the crew looked at him differently. With respect. And a hint of terror. 12 hours after the incident. The Morning Star drifted in silence. The pirate boarding had been repelled, but the ship wasn't the same. Not because of the damage, it was minimal, but because of what they'd seen. Every crew member now passed the galley with a quick glance, a nervous shuffle, or, if they were wise, a respectful nod. No one asked Elias Rourke how he'd done it. No one dared. He'd cleaned the mess. Sanitized the station. And gone right back to preparing breakfast. Scrambled eggs. Real ones. The crew ate them without a word. Some chewed slower. Some wouldn't meet his eyes. Elias noticed, of course. But he didn't speak on it. He wasn't here to be remembered. He was here to stay forgotten. And then the encrypted call came through. A signal meant only for him. It was routed through 7 council relays. Bounced off a ghost satellite above a dead moon. Encoded in an Earth-era dialect no one used anymore, Esperanto with Terran naval phonetics. Only Elias would recognize it. He played it alone in the galley at 0400. A simple message. "He knows you're alive. He's coming." The file ended with a voice sample. Not a threat. Not even loud. Just personal. "You should have stayed dead, Rourke. I never stopped watching your hands." Enemy at the edge of memory. His pulse didn't rise. Not much. But his hands paused for the first time in years. Because that voice belonged to Captain Levon Marr, a name burned into old Terran Black Ops records, long since erased from modern systems. Once, Elias and Marr had been on the same side. They trained under the same handlers. Operated under the same brutal silence. Learned to kill with deliberate purpose. But Marr had broken away. He didn't want peace. He wanted chaos. Profitable, endless case. He'd vanished after the fall of Carhex 5, when Elias walked away from the war machine and buried himself aboard a research vessel. He'd hoped the galaxy would forget them both. Clearly Marr hadn't. Crew panic and sudden orders. The ship's comms officer, Lieutenant Rika, called an emergency session with the captain and senior crew. "There's a ship trailing us," she reported. "It's not council registered. No flags. No pings. It's watching. Can we outrun it?" the captain asked. Rika shook her head. "No. They want us to know they're there. We go fast, they go fast. We stop, they stop." That's when Elias entered the bridge, wiping his hands on a towel. "You'll want to drop out of slip space near the asteroid field at grid C-19, he said casually. Captain Drea blinked. "That's not our path." "It is now," Elias replied. "That ship isn't here for you. It's here for me." They stared. And for the first time, listened. Grid C-19, a memory graveyard. The Morningstar emerged near a shattered asteroid belt, once the site of a Terran black site, long turned to rubble. To civilians, it looked like rocks. To Elias, it was home. He'd trained here. Killed here. Buried names here. And now, he'd fight here again. He didn't go to the armory. He went to the galley. From a locked cabinet behind the spice rack, he pulled out a long case. Inside was a roll of tools, not culinary. Not military. Something in between. A ceramic blade, old as the Earth-Mars Accord. A fiberwire loop coiled with nanohooks. A pair of gloves lined with reactive synth bone. He didn't suit up like a soldier. He suited up like a ghost. Mar arrives with a smile. The enemy's ship decloaked, an obsidian-finished stealth corvette named the Black Tongue. It docked slowly, deliberately. Aboard, Captain Mar stood on the boarding ramp, flanked by 6 operatives in gravity-hardened Exormer. They didn't speak. They didn't aim. They were here to send a message. And Mar, tall, lean, with steel-gray eyes and a voice like velvet wrapped around a razor, smiled as he stepped aboard the Morningstar. "Smells like onions," he said. Then louder, "Where's the cook?" Elias stepped from the corridor. Quiet. Calm. Wearing the same apron as before. "I made enough for 7, he said. "Too bad there's only going to be one of us left to eat it." The duel without weapons. They didn't draw guns. They didn't fire. Elias and Mar walked toward each other like dancers who knew every step in advance. Mar threw the first strike, an open palm blow meant to shatter the clavicle. Elias rotated, caught the elbow, twisted the joint, and redirected the momentum into a wall slam. Armor cracked. Mar laughed. "You haven't slowed. You haven't changed," Elias replied. Their fight moved through the corridor, into the galley, where Elias had deliberately set the terrain. Hot surfaces. Sharp implements. Low ceilings. Every inch a trap. Elias used a skillet to redirect Mar's punch. Used steam to blind his flank guard. And when Mar's knife finally came out, curved, sleek, poisoned, Elias drew his own blade. Ceramic. Silent. Final. The last cut. They stood still. 2 knives. 1 breath. Then a blur of motion. The sound wasn't metal on metal. It was metal on memory. A heartbeat later, Mar staggered. Elias stood behind him. 1 clean cut along the edge of Mar's tactical spine brace. The body hadn't fallen yet. "I never stopped watching your hands either," Elias said softly. Mar fell. Still smiling. Returned to silence. The Morningstar vented the boarding tunnel. The Black Tongue drifted away, powered down. And Elias returned to his galley. He disposed of the gloves. Cleaned the blade. And prepped lunch. When the captain entered, she didn't speak right away. "I read the old logs," she finally said. "The ones you thought were erased. You were someone else." "I was hungry," Elias said. "Now I feed others. That's all." "What happens if more come?" Elias looked at the boiling pot. "Stirred it. Then I'll feed them, too. 1 piece at a time." 2 days after Mar's death. The Morningstar moved quietly through Sector 40X, slow and heavy in the void, its sensors dimmed, communications tight. But silence, Elias knew, was never protection. Because Captain Levon Mar's death hadn't ended anything. It had started something. Mar wasn't just a ghost from Elias's past, he was a signal flare. A legend. And killing him, even cleanly, even honorably, sent a message the wrong people would understand perfectly. Rourke is still alive. And he's still dangerous. The war dogs buried under black site bunkers would stir. The bounty networks Mar once oversaw would awaken. The old menu, as Elias used to call it, would be reopened. He was supposed to be forgotten. Now he was front-page fear again. Whispers across the stars. Within 48 hours, 3 pirate clans cancelled planned raids along the Morning Star's route. A mercenary fleet under contract to the Crimson Syndicate rerouted after a single message. He's on board. The Zari consensus labeled Elias Rourke as unknown class red, not a person, but a containment event. And then came the contract. A live bounty, posted anonymously on the dark space net. 400,000 credits. Dead only. Target, Elias Rourke. Alias, the cook. The Morning Star's crew reacts. Captain Drea didn't know whether to evacuate or double security. Security Chief Harrell, new to the ship, walked into the galley one morning and asked the question everyone had been thinking. Are we in danger because of you? Elias didn't look up from the cutting board. You were always in danger. Now it's just more honest. Then what do we do? Elias finally looked up, his eyes calm but focused. You go about your job. You stay alert. You trust that the kitchen stays clean. And when the time comes, don't get between me and the mess. Harold left with goosebumps. Arrival of the Black Apron. The bounty didn't stay open long. Someone accepted. And not just anyone. The killer known as the Black Apron, a name whispered in fear by ex-Spec Ops and planetary defense captains alike. He was one of the best. Silent. Unseen. Recruited from the same Terran kitchen cell assassination program as Elias, but never retired. Where Elias had stepped away, the Black Apron had perfected the art of war disguised as service. Now he was coming to prove who was the better cook. Not for money. Not for power. For the recipe of finality. Breach in the night. The Morning Star ran cold during its drift past the abandoned mining colonies of Tel Draven. No comms. No scans. Just routine science operations and internal repairs. Perfect conditions for infiltration. The Black Apron struck at 0300, bypassing outer hull locks with a plasma needle torch, crawling in through service vents, and reaching the lower levels without detection. Except, he wasn't undetected. Elias had been waiting. He'd known from the way the water filters whined on cycle. From the shift in grav pressure as the ship's mass balance adjusted. From the faint, unmistakable scent of burned cinnamon oil, a calling card. Subtle. Personal. The Black Apron always scented his kills. So Elias boiled a pot of tea and waited. 2 cooks, 1 kitchen. The galley was dark except for the flickering pilot light on the stove. Elias stood at the prep table, slicing mushrooms. The Black Apron entered without a sound, no armor, no visible weapons, just a heavy canvas coat, jet black, speckled with grease and blood from dozens of past jobs. He said nothing. Elias didn't turn. Took you longer than I expected. Still nothing. You remember the old rule? Silence. 1 cook per kitchen. The Black Apron moved. A blur. The fight with no firearms. The galley erupted in motion that could barely be seen, only felt in thuds, crashes, sparks. No gunfire. Just blades. Hooks. Twisting cloth. Slamming steel. A ladle used to dislocate a shoulder. A mixing bowl weaponized into a flanged mace. They moved through the kitchen like it was choreography, a dance they both knew by heart. Counter-strikes were parried with memory. Every trap Elias had laid, the Black Apron knew. Every blind angle the apron took, Elias had planned for. But neither had slowed. Until Elias whispered. I taught you the reverse hand draw. You still telegraph it. The Black Apron's blade flicked out. Elias was already gone. He struck with a slicing wrist arc, low, rising, clean. The apron fell. Not dead. Just done. He looked up at Elias, finally speaking in a rasp. What are you now? Elias stepped over him. The kitchen's closed. The crew watches. By morning, the Morning Star's command crew found Elias calmly wiping down the galley. There was no body. only a scorched apron hanging on a wall hook with a small paper tag pinned to it. Do not enter without permission. The cook. Captain Drea tried again. Rourke, what are you? He glanced up, not angry, not smug. Just tired. I'm the one who feeds this ship. Sometimes that means food. Sometimes it means feeding the stars what they're owed. Whispers become doctrine. The defeat of the Black Apron didn't stay secret. The bounty was taken down. And across the underworld, an update appeared. Do not accept contracts on Elias Rourke. Risk level final. Freight haulers started joking. If you smell cinnamon and onions, you're already dead. Research vessels requested Elias as part of their crew. And pirates? They started carrying ration bars marked with a red E, a silent plea that if boarded by the cook, they'd be considered fed already. 2 weeks later, neutral station, Delphi Spire. The Morningstar docked for the first time in 17 days. Fuel, food resupply, medical assistance. Just standard procedures. But nothing felt standard anymore. Not after Mar. Not after the Black Apron. And not after the message that began circulating deep within encrypted galactic military networks. Do not engage the Morningstar. Do not speak the name Elias Rourke. Do not acknowledge the kitchen knife protocol. He is not to be touched. That final line was stamped with 5 separate factional seals, some of them mortal enemies. Someone high up remembered. Worse, they feared remembering. And Elias? He was restocking herbs. The war they tried to erase. While the crew made repairs, Captain Drea received a visitor. Not an enemy. Not a council rep. A historian. Old, frail, escorted by cybernetic guards. Name, Professor Relencourt. He requested 5 minutes. No more. Captain, he said, voice shaking. I've come to confirm what's impossible. Drea frowned. About Elias? Core nodded. I wrote my thesis on the K-class civilian kill zones. They were hypothetical, cloak cells of highly trained operatives inserted into peaceful ships. No uniforms. No triggers. Just patience. But the program was shut down. Core shook his head. No. It was sealed. And Rourke was the prototype. Kitchen knife. He didn't just survive it, he made the program irrelevant. Because they realized they didn't need armies. They just needed one. Elias speaks to the stars. That night, Elias stood at the observation deck. Alone. Behind him, stars burned cold. In front of him, the reflection of a man half forgotten, half imagined. He activated a private relay. The ship's logs captured only fragments, encrypted beyond modern understanding. But the few decoded lines said, You sent ghosts to kill me. You raised bounties, and I fed the hunters their own silence. I asked for peace. You delivered interruption. Now you'll have stillness again. Then he ended the transmission. And the stars, for a moment, blinked slower. As if, listening. The Council panics. On the capital world of Valis, the Galactic Council's emergency corps met in crisis. Not because of an invasion. Not because of an attack. Because one man had spoken. And they knew what it meant. Elias wasn't warning them. He was reminding them. He was still out there. Still watching. Still capable. They voted unanimously. Rourke's name was to be removed from future military records. His presence acknowledged only in silent protocol. And under no circumstances was he to be interfered with. For the first time in 3,000 years, a civilian cook had triggered a council-wide no-contact order. Not by force. By memory. A galaxy adjusts. Pirates began carving spoon symbols into their ships, a sign of surrender. Mercenaries told stories of the kitchen where fate is decided. AI war fleets pre-programmed avoidance vectors around the Morningstar's last known location. Children on fringe colonies whispered bedtime tales of the man with one knife. And still, Elias cooked. Still peeled vegetables. Still brewed tea. To the crew, he was again just the cook. But when anyone lingered too long in the galley, they noticed the faint scent. Onions, cinnamon, and history. One last visitor. A young ensign knocked on the galley door. Nervous. Sweating. Elias glanced up. Hungry? The boy nodded, but paused. I heard what they say about you. Elias shrugged. They say a lot of things. But is it true? That you once ended a war, without firing a shot? Elias looked at him. Not harshly. Not proudly. Just tired. The shot was fired. I just made sure they felt it forever. He handed the kid a bowl of stew. Eat. Then forget this conversation. Legacy written in silence. The Morning Star left Delphi's spire quietly. No fanfare. No alerts. But every ship in local range veered slightly off course. Just a few degrees. Just enough to say, we remember. And as Elias cleaned the stove, whistling an old Terran tune no one could place, one thing became undeniably clear. He wasn't hiding. He was waiting. Because when the next mistake comes, and it always does, the galaxy will once again remember the man they never should have provoked. Not a general. Not a killer. Just the cook. Fork and Knife with Plate. Subscribe to the Void Narratives Fork and Knife with Plate. One man. One knife. A whole galaxy that should have let him be. You've just finished a tale from the darker side of humanity's legacy, where war hides in a kitchen, and peace is a blade waiting to be drawn. If this story made your heart race and your mind reel, you're one of us. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe now to the Void Narratives. Get fresh stories every week, gritty, sharp, unforgettable. Stop sign because next time someone says, he's just the cook, they'll whisper it like a prayer. And pray, he doesn't hear them. Click subscribe. Or don't. He's watching either way.